Hello, 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 and welcome to Project Possible with me, Rich Leigh. If you're watching this, you'll notice I'm in a slightly different place. Is it tidiest? No. It's just not my office. Couldn't be bothered to go in today, which is about a few steps that way. You're also getting, oh wow, look at that. Grey coming in my hair. Wisdom, I think that is. I think that's what you call it. Anyway, for you listeners, none of that makes any sense nor difference. Welcome. I hope you are very, very well. I have just celebrated recording my 50th episode. It was yesterday with Jeremy Lynch, the freestyle footballer and entrepreneur. And I had an absolute blast with him. I don't think I've ever said the word blast before in that way. Maybe that's a white hair, grey hair thing. Is that a wisdomous thing to say? He was awesome. Loved it. 50 episodes. And it was really funny because as I was driving to speak to him, I was listening to him on another podcast, and he said, as a content creator and somebody who's got millions and millions of followers, and he's done this, he's good at it. He kind of, he's kind of cracked the algorithm. He knows what he's doing. He said, don't start looking at stats even until episode 50. Now, I'm guilty definitely of that. I think every creator is. I think it's probably easier to say than do. But there you go. We're at 50 recorded. But this is not episode 50. This is, I believe, episode 43 with Tom Stroud. Tom is from Love is Blind. Love is Blind, the hit Netflix show. I think he said it was something crazy like #1 in dozens of countries. Love is Blind, if you haven't ever seen it, is a show where people date each other with a wall between them. And they decide whether or not to get engaged, and then the whole, I'm not ruining anything, there's no spoilers here by saying at the end of it, then they go to the altar and they decide whether or not they get married. Now, it is light entertainment. My partner Vic and I use it when we just want, we watch it when we just want to kind of chill out. That's what it's for. If you got something heavy on the go, we always have that. We always have something heavy on the go, like Shetland right now, something murdery, and then Love is Blind. Or Love on the Spectrum, that kind of balance, or Alan Partridge, or something like that. If you haven't watched the new Alan Partridge, I don't know why I'm just giving TV recommendations now. What is going on? It's the change in place. I promise. Tell you, go and watch Alan Partridge. Right, I'm shutting the hell up. Enjoy. I'll be back afterwards with things to do. Without further ado, I bring to you my conversation with the brilliant, the lovely Tom Stroud. Enjoy. You came to most people's attention, obviously, through being on the first UK season of Love is Blind. We're going to bounce around a few different things. You're doing so much more now around masculinity, dating. You've got a fantastic organization, I guess, in Shoulder to Shoulder.
Yeah.
The podcast, Why Do Men? And we're going to talk about all of those things. But Love is Blind is where I guess most people's entry point is for you. When was it? When did you actually film?
We filmed about 26 months ago.
26 months.
Yeah. Summer before last year's summer. Do
you feel like the same man that went on that show?
No, I'm completely different. And I mean that in a really, really positive way. Yeah. It's doing something like that is life-changing, and it can be life-changing for a bunch of different reasons. And I mean, Rich, you've worked with tons of reality TV people, right? And some of them go in a fairly obvious way when they've done a show like that, which is to pursue brand deals and go and get their teeth whitened in Turkey or go and get their receding hairline sorted out, But I always sort of had a feeling that if I was going to get a platform from the show, and there's no guarantees, I knew that the only way I was going to be able to sustain that is by, putting out stuff, talking about stuff that I feel is meaningful and is going to hopefully make a difference. And because of that, it's the reason why I've managed to stay on that horse for so long after the show aired,
Yeah, I guess contestant, cast member? What would you call yourselves? You call yourselves cast members?
Yeah.
Because you're not a contestant or winning anything.
Just love. You win love, but I didn't win.
You tried your best, mate.
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say.
Left nothing behind.
I think a lot of people don't know that the majority of people that apply for that show, I think the vast majority, 99% of people that apply are women.
Yeah.
So you didn't actually apply initially, did you?
No.
Somebody got in touch with you.
I got stalked on my Instagram. They were looking for sad, lonely men on Instagram and managed to find me quite easily, I think. It might have been in my bio. But you're right. I think they had 15,000 applicants for season 1 and 99% of them were female. So there's about 100, 200 guys applied for it, including the nation's heartthrob, Freddie, which surprises a lot of people. But the rest of us, they had to find us because there's a reticence from guys to, I think, buy into the concept of the show.
Why? What do you think that is?
I think I've got a pretty good view of why that is. I think women, generally speaking, when it comes to relationships, buy into the idea that, an emotive connection, a connection based off compatibility in terms of personality, in terms of values, is a priority for them in that entry point when it comes to dating. Whereas I think for guys, it's fair to say that guys are more aesthetic and more driven by looks. And so for a lot of guys, taking that plunge into an experiment which isn't based on physical attraction can be quite challenging, quite difficult.
Series 1 of the UK one was 6 or 7 US seasons in?
Yeah.
Something like that. So you already watched the show, presumably.
I'd seen a bit of it, yeah.
So you hadn't watched, not a religious watcher or anything, but you'd seen some.
I'd seen it. I mean, we got told by the Love is Blind Netflix psychologist that in order to be put forward, you have to watch a full series because you have to have informed consent. So you need to know exactly what you're going into.
Which one did you watch? Out of interest.
The first one, series.
Christ, who was on that?
So Cam and they're like the superheroes still. They're very well thought of. So
yeah, and I'm trying to remember now who else, because I've watched every single series.
Have you?
Yeah,
I didn't know you're a fan, Rich.
Mate, I'm a fan.
Oh, brilliant.
My partner Vic and I. This is with the greatest respect and all love.
Yeah.
It's our kind of relaxing TV.
Totally fine.
Do you know what I mean? Like if we've just watched Ed Gein bloody chainsaw somebody, and then we're like, do you know what? Let's watch some Love Is Blind, shall we? Let's like Love on the Spectrum, Love Is Blind, like that kind of like
heartwarming.
Easy, heartwarming, calming, and also you love it for the drama. I feel like I love the drama, Mick. But the edit is a big part of what makes it for audiences. How many people watched Series 1?
I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know it was number 1 on Netflix in 60 countries. It was a global smash hit. Yeah, it was incredible.
We're talking millions and millions of people.
Yeah, tens of millions, I think.
Were you told that it would be, that could be likely?
No.
Or did you just have to assume, well, there's obviously lots of people subscribe to Netflix, lots of people, so there's a good chance that this does well. It's the first UK series.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you went into it eyes open?
To an extent. I mean, we both work in PR, and so there's an element of that which prepares you for it. But if I'm honest with you, mate, I had no idea the kind of attention it was going to get. And a lot of that I really embraced because I was like, this is awesome. And it's given me a platform. But there is a negative side to it, which is well spoken about. And around, social media and backlash, and particularly when, my storyline was incredibly polarizing, right?
It really was. We'll get into it.
Yeah, split the country in two. And so for every single person that's supporting your views or your values, there's a yin and yang to that, where there's going to be someone that finds it really affronting to have a man who's talking about relationships in a completely different way to what they've been raised with. Yeah,
and I think that's part of your, I was going to say charm. Let's go with charm. Was that, you weren't, you're very eloquent when it comes to this sort of thing. You're very eloquent in relation to, what you're thinking, feeling at all times. It wasn't just like, I think I'm in love. It was like really analysed, quite analytical.
Pretty sexy, huh?
Pretty sexy. I mean, okay, look into the camera and say it, man.
Pretty sexy. Ladies love to be analysed.
On that note, are you single?
No, I'm 3 months into a relationship with someone very special who's awesome.
How was that? How's dating been since, I know I'm sure you've been asked this question before, but how's dating been since Love is Blind?
Yeah, so like post it being broadcast, the TX date is a year after we film, right? So you have this weird fallow period where you have a year where you've just technically broken up with the person you're engaged with. And when you're dating, you cannot talk about the show. You're NDA'd to the bollocks,
You literally can't talk about it.
No. So I'm, going on dates with people and being like, I've got quite a busy summer coming up because there's this global smash hit coming out, which I don't even know what I'm preparing myself for. So that sort of period between filming and TX, I just wasn't really dating at all, to be honest.
Really? It's probably easier that way, right? Because otherwise, that person's going to feel like you're not being truthful.
Well, no, mate, this is it. You start a relationship on it's not a lie, but you're hiding something, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah. It's like, what are you, James Bond? Are you, are you being secret cool, or are you being secret, unfaithful?
Can you imagine the disappointment if you're a woman and you're dating a guy who's been really secretive, and you're like, is it MI5? Is this guy like a celebrity in Australia? And it's just like, I was on a reality TV show.
No, it is. Love is Blind is bloody cool. I will not hear bad said about it. When did you know in the pods with Maria in particular?
Yeah.
When did you know that it was love?
Oh God! Hey mate, like you just asked me about changing, and when I look back on it now, in retrospect, I'm not sure if it was love. I think it was. You are in a bubble. You're in an environment whereby you have no access to the outside world. You can't speak to your friends. You can't speak to your family. You can't go on Instagram. All you're thinking about in that environment is the person you're dating, and you also don't have, all of your senses. So you don't have your vision when you're dating that person. And all I'd think about every night when I went to bed was her. It was like an infatuation almost. And, I talk a lot about limerence, lust, all those kind of topics in the content and the podcast I do. And you can get to a point with somebody where you're just so infatuated with them, you kind of tend to confuse that with love at times.
Do you think that you did confuse possible infatuation for her with love?
I would say so, yeah.
Have you been in love before?
I have.
How many times have you been in love?
Twice.
And how did it feel in comparison to what you felt in the pods?
I think,
and post.
For me, I think love needs time to develop. It's not something which happens immediately. Like, I don't know if you can love someone when you don't know everything about them, I think that's what lust is.
I guess that's what the question that a lot of people that disbelieve or are concerned about the quote unquote experiment of it all is, how can you quite so easily then say that you love somebody?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I think, if you asked most cast members, even the ones that got married, even the ones that are still married, if you ask them in retrospect, were you in love with that person? They would probably have a second thought. But in that moment, when, like I say, you're in that bubble, you just feel such an overwhelming emotional connection to them. But the other thing I'd make, mate, and I haven't made this point before, is like, you're in a foreign country, you're in Sweden, right? Staying in a hotel room by yourself, you're with a bunch of strange lads who are very territorial, there's a lot of alpha male behavior. You're just desperate for some form of connection. And normally you find that through the person that you're dating.
Sounds like prison, mate.
It kind of is prison. I don't want to slag the show off because the show's amazing. They looked after us so well, but like I say, every waking moment when you're not dating, you're spending with these other lads, and it's competitive. That's one of the bits of the show that I found really challenging.
So let's talk about the hotel. So What, are you like in the same down the same corridor as all the lads? What's the actual sleeping setup?
Yeah, so the way that they shoot it makes it look like you're all in a big house.
Yes,
you're not.
It makes it feel like Big Brother, right? Because there's that there's that kind of central room where everybody's playing pool or shooting the shit or whatever. Yeah. And how many hours of the day are you actually in there?
Long old days. Yeah. There's normally a call time of 7, and we'd roll on till 7, 8, 9 at night.
Wow. Okay.
But that particular part of the set, it looks like it's in a lovely big house, doesn't it? It's nice.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It actually looks fun. So, I'm like, I want to be in there. I want to be, messing around with what looks like quite quickly forming friendships and all that. I feel very comfortable in that kind of like rugby for me team type environment.
Right. So that's interesting.
Yeah. How did that feel for you?
We'll go into this a lot because we've spoken about our family backgrounds before we started filming, but I've always found being in big groups of lads quite intimidating, quite alienating. I struggled to trust men a lot when I was younger because all of my positive male role models ended up disappearing. And so I found it very difficult in that environment. And it was an artificial environment. It's not in a house. It's on a massive purpose-built set in Sweden. And then you're carried in and out. You're carred over every single morning and every night.
How far's that journey?
15, 20 minutes.
Right, okay. And then just no phone?
No phone.
Did you sneak a look at a phone?
No, mate, they confiscate everything. They search you before you fly out.
Right.
So everything's taken from you.
Wow, okay. So you've got just absolutely no letters to family, no nothing.
No.
And how long is the experience in total?
That bit, the filming in the pods is 2 weeks.
No.
And then you get, if you're successful,
yes,
you then get flown back to the UK with the other lads that have been successful, holed up in a hotel for 5 days in London.
And that was actually pretty close to here, wasn't it?
Yeah, how did you know that?
I may have done my research.
That's incredible. It was just down the road.
I know, so you know the area, so you're able to show the boys.
Yeah, I was taking all the boys to my favourite coffee shops, and it was brilliant, and then you get flown out to Greece.
Did you come back here at all?
No, you're not allowed to.
What would they have done?
I don't know, really. I didn't really have any reason to.
No, I guess not. I guess you like that time with the boys. So who was that? That was Benaiah.
Yeah.
No, was it Benaiah at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who else was there?
No, you're right. It wasn't Benaiah.
It wasn't.
Mate, you've done more research than me, and I was on it. So, it wasn't Benny at the time. Mm-hmm. It was Ollie, Steve, Bobby, and then we also had Aaron and Connor there, who were two guys that had got engaged but were put on standby,
but weren't on the edit, you know, because that's crazy. I think something that a lot of people, fans of the show, won't know is that there are a lot of people that get engaged and don't then go on the holiday to Greece.
Yeah, to Greece.
You know, and the same for the States. There are people that get engaged. I'd argue that's possibly a much better way of doing it for that couple. Like, I don't know how many of those stay together, but you know, it's like you've had the experiment, but you've not had to have it's like the fame and notoriety of that. Is that purely because of maybe their story's just not as interesting or exciting or polarizing or editorially useful as others?
I genuinely believe that Netflix make the decision on the couples they're going to take through by the likelihood of those couples being successful, staying together.
You do?
Because I think that's what people want from that show. They want the success. They want the love stories.
Yeah, in a conflicted, confusing world of malaise and upset and unrest right now.
Yeah.
Isn't it lovely then to watch a show where you're like, these two people love each other.
Exactly.
And, oh my God, they've just said yes. And oh my, you know, and there is something beautiful about it. Like what is more beautiful than love?
Nothing. It's the thing that drives us forward as human beings.
There is nothing more beautiful. There's not a better feeling to be loved than to be loved. There's not a better feeling than to love somebody. I don't, you know, that's my children, that's my partner, that's, you know, friends, family. And it's therefore wonderful. Yeah. You know, you've just had a shit day at work and, you know, you put it on and then you see two people say yes and you're like, oh my God, maybe and then the reunion comes.
And you're like, no, turn it off.
I believed in love.
Exactly.
You made me believe in love, you bastards.
I'm going to put Fox News back on. It's better than this.
Exactly.
You know?
So when you think back now, what do you think you learned most about yourself from the show?
Oh, mate. I mean, there are so many things that you learn. Like, I was 37 when I went on that show. I was a mature man. I was the oldest member of the cast. I thought that I had my shit together. I thought I knew exactly who I was. I thought I knew exactly what I wanted from a partner. And I didn't. The show made me grow up. It made me like really crystallize what my values were, what my beliefs are when it comes to how I see a relationship working. And sadly for Maria, you know, it was a growing experience that I was going through as I went through the show, you know?
But it would have been the same for her, presumably.
I think so. I think so too.
Because you've done a couple of Reddit kind of AMA type things now.
Yeah.
One in particular, and people should go and, you know, if they're fans of the show, interested in this, they should go and read it. I think your answers are absolutely brilliant.
Thanks.
And at one point, somebody said something, and I can't remember if they were like trying to throw shade or something on. And you said, I think Maria's probably learned some things throughout this process too. And it was just a very classy way of saying, you know, like there are two sides to every story.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's worth remembering that it was heightened for her too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, maybe it wasn't love. Maybe, you know, all of these things that you're saying to me now are true now.
Yeah.
Have you had any contact whatsoever?
No, we haven't.
Would it be weird to have contact with her?
Oh, it's a tough question, that. Because I think if you look at any relationship through the lens of how a relationship would pan out normally in the real world, like I would encourage me to have a conversation with her if it had happened in a non-artificial way, because there was a lot of conflict towards the end of that relationship, and I just hate the idea of conflict not being resolved, particularly when it's with someone that you love.
Do you feel like it has or hasn't been resolved?
It's not been resolved. I mean, there's still some things hanging over us, and if I'm honest with you, like I would love to catch up with her because we did go through that experience together. But we've both gone our own separate ways, and from what I understand, she's pretty happy, and I'm. Is very
she in
happy.
a relationship? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Is it strange? I always wonder this because it is so heightened. Because, you know, in the reveal and the kissing and the intimacy and the tactility and all those things. I always think, how strange must that be then for any future partners, if that doesn't work, to be able to have watched you fall in love, or maybe not, but otherwise, then have tactility, and then there's always the oh, did we or didn't we? And then there's all there's all that. It's like, how do you feel about that in relation to your partner now? For instance, has she watched the show?
Sonia hadn't watched it until I told her that I was on it, and that was we'd been dating for a little while before I told her, and then she did watch it.
I wonder if that could have been like a potential turning point for somebody where they go, do you know what, mate? I don't really like the idea that tens of millions of people have watched you, snogging the face off this woman.
Yes, mate. or just the fact that the show paints my values as incredibly binary and incredibly, it's incredibly black and white, and actually it's a lot more nuanced.
You're just trad, mate. That's all you are. Just trad bloke. That's all you.
But this is like Sonia is quite traditional. She's like, right, in the early stages of dating, I want to feel like I'm being wooed. And she was like, what does this mean, that like you're not going to do nice dates, or everything we do is going to be 50-50? And I was like, that's not my view. It's just the way that the show paints it out. So
do you feel like you got a fair edit?
No, but I don't feel like you deserve to get a fair edit when you take something like that.
Why?
Because ultimately it's an entertainment property.
You're a product.
Yeah, exactly. And my view of this, Rich, right, which I don't think everyone would agree with, is that when you sign up to a show like that, there are benefits to it. The platform that I have now, like the opportunities that I have, are beyond my wildest dreams. And the sacrifice you have to make.
All you've got to do is...
Exactly. But this is it. And like, there were some things which were on that show which were frankly completely inaccurate. Like our wedding day, which was, we both knew it was going to be a no on the wedding day, but they painted it out to make me look like I jilted her.
Again, in that Reddit post, you gave a fantastic, answer as to, no, we'd spoken about it before. It was most likely going to be a no. We told our guests that it was most likely to be a no. Because that's a thing as a viewer. You're like, do they know? So it was, were you hopeful that there could still be a relationship after the wedding?
I think both of us at the time, that was the line that we were using, but I don't know, and I'd love to hear a perspective on that. I think I knew that it was going to be very hard to create something off the back of that, because it's a big traumatic moment,
If you'd had those conversations prior to, and you knew that it was going to be a no, likely on both sides, what do you mean by it being a traumatic moment?
I just think, regardless of, like, we'd always said that it was going to be a no, but we were sort of talking about, do we carry on seeing each other afterwards and try and make a go of it? But the cold, hard reality of going through a day like that, it was so difficult, mate. It was horrible for both of us, and for her family in particular. It was like, it still felt like a form of rejection from both sides, which I know sounds weird, but the analogy I'd use is like, if you break up with somebody, you do not have the license to feel sad about it, even though you should still feel sad about it. It still feels like a loss, even though you've made that decision. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Of course. I mean, yeah. And there are ancillary aspects of that relationship that, you grieve as well.
Yeah, exactly. But you almost feel guilty for grieving about it because you made the choice.
Completely understand. What happens to the food? Come on, man. Everybody thinks it. You're there like, right, so on the other side of that canvas bloody thing, there's like that, in that bloody bake-off tent right there, you're telling me there's a shit ton of food that nobody eats. What the hell happens to it?
We got really bad, like, catered food. I don't know what the answer is, but to be fair, like, we told the producers it was going to be a no, so I don't think they bothered. So
they're like, where you get fucking lemon curd sandwiches.
Exactly.
Just like absolutely nothing worth having. You got some... you got some party rings.
Exactly.
It's a council estate birthday. Enjoy.
Here is your beige buffet. Go away and eat it.
So nothing. So guest wise, friends, family.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, did they go away? Like, what's that like for them? Because it's a lot. You're all getting dressed up. You're all doing. This. It's a big moment.
Yeah.
And also for many of those people, it'll be their first time with a camera anywhere near them.
Yeah.
What's it like for them? Then just there's a no, and then how quickly you leave in that room?
Well, so the context with the guest was, like, to your point, I told all my guests it was going to be a no because I didn't want my best mate schlepping. The weddings are in Darlington. Like, it's like a 6-hour journey.
Why are they in Darlington?
Budget. So they've got this like stately home in Darlington, which costs like 50 quid a night, and then they roll the weddings day by day by day, consecutive days.
Right.
So like my respectfully, my wedding guest list was like outside of my sister. It was like, the guy that I played football with at uni 3 times. Do you know what I mean? It was.
Right.
I had my 5th choice best man there. He won't mind me saying that, and it was just because they knew it was going to be a no.
Right.
But
I guess because it's going to be a no, you're like, when I do this properly and I want it to be, I want it to be everybody I want.
Exactly.
That's fair to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Maria brought her whole family. She's so close to her family, and that's what made it quite difficult, I think.
Yeah. Your relationship with your mum is a big part of the series, and in relation to the fact that your dad left when you were 14.
Yeah, well, he left when I was 4.
Right.
The last time I saw him, I was 14.
Okay, so what kind of relationship did you have between 4 and 14?
Well, I mean, my mum is an incredible woman, incredibly headstrong, raised me and my brother on her own, on benefits, and managed to make a success out of her life in spite of having some pretty difficult circumstances. But my dad was somebody who didn't really have much interest in raising kids. He just didn't. He was kind of, the best way of phrasing it would be very free-spirited.
Okay.
Didn't have particularly good values or morals instilled in him,
What was... They say to us, I saw something the other day and it was like, therapy in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
The first one was, your parents did the very best they could do. Fucking get over it. It was like, so do you believe that your dad did the best he could have done with his circumstances?
No, I don't. I believe in free will and choice. But, and I think there's this thing around generational trauma, which is passed down from generation to generation. And eventually someone has to address that. Otherwise you're like, I'm not going to rest on my laurels the whole time and be like, I had a shit childhood, therefore I'm going to pass that down to my kids. I think all you can do in this sort of circumstance is think, I'm going to do a slightly better job than my parents did.
Yeah.
And, we've spoken about this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was about breaking a cycle. It was, I very early on, very consciously thought, if I don't, just exactly what you just said there, if I don't do something, if I don't change something here, then the cycle continues.
Yeah.
For me and my children and my children's children, and has the potential to, statistically, most likely to.
Yeah.
You're statistically unlikely to break a cycle of generational trauma, violence, insert things here.
Yeah.
But back to the point then. So your relationship with your dad between 4 and 14, so he left at 4. So presumably your memories of him at that point are quite few and far between.
I would see him once or twice a year.
Wow, okay.
But this is the thing, like for anyone listening, particularly men, that they will recognise a lot of this because there are a lot of men with absent fathers. And for me, the way that absence manifested itself was predominantly through a desire or a need to feel seen and wanted, and not getting that from my dad, and then acting up and being a very angry, troublesome kid, right? And
that's where I wanted to get to next.
Right.
But, I'll dip, as they hit me, love is blind things. But for me, it's now, who are you? Why are you who you are?
Yeah.
So your mum being a big part of, your life, obviously.
Yeah.
And your dad is a big part of your life through his absence.
Right. Exactly.
So it's understanding the kid you were. So you're saying that as a youngster, how old, you said troublesome.
Yeah.
Troublesome at what age?
I would start acting up from about 7 or 8, and I mean, it got to a point I wasn't even a teenager, sort of maybe 10, 11, where my anger issues were so severe that my mum had to call in like external help, basically, because she couldn't control me.
What does external help look like? Social services or?
Social services, therapists, family therapy, which my dad did come to once or twice. Okay. But it sort of came to a point just before I started secondary school. It was actually the year before, where I was in a meeting with a therapist, and there was a lot of anger in the meeting from all parties. My dad was in it, my mum was in it, and the therapist was just like, well, Tom, what do you want? And I just said to the therapist, I want to go and live with my dad. I was obsessed with him because he was so absent, and I was just really, really wanted him to see me and acknowledge me. And so I ended up going to live with my dad at the age of 10.
Where did he live?
He lived in a place called Feltham, on a sort of council estate in Feltham.
Right, where's Feltham?
Feltham's in West London. It's famous for having the largest youth offenders institute in the country. Okay. It was rough, but I loved it. I had the best year of my life.
Is that because you were with your dad?
I was with my dad, and he just let me do whatever I wanted. So
how old were you then?
I was 10.
Right, sorry, you did just say that, yeah.
But so I'd be going around like riding stolen mopeds around this council estate and having the time of my life. But I was always a very academic kid, and I went to this school. It was a brand new council estate, just been built, and there was this school for 1,000 kids. And their first intake that year, they only taken 60 kids because it was a trial year basically, and they didn't have enough kids to fill the school. And I was being taught in a class with kids all the way from 7 through to 10.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't very good for my development. And there was this, I mean, we talked about
how do you personalize education in that setting?
It's really hard.
It's hard enough in a year. It's hard enough. Think of the variation and the educational variation in that single year.
Exactly.
3 years.
This is it. And this was where I had my first actual male role model, because there was a teacher there called Mr. Nicholson, Bill Nicholson. I'd love to look him up. And he sort of saw that I was a kid that was, pretty academic, and was like, this can't be appropriate. This shouldn't happen. So he basically took me under his wing, and through his tuition, I ended up getting a scholarship to a private school called Sunbury Manor for secondary school.
Scholarship for what?
I can't remember. It would have been something academic. I was always very good at maths, and so I got this scholarship, and then the summer holidays rolled around, and that was my life that I had in front of me, like going to this school. It was fucking miles away, but I was like,
how did
so
that
happy.
feel? Like,
I felt amazing. I felt acknowledged for the first time in my life, from a guy.
A great teacher can do that, right? And
Exactly.
we talked before we started filming about the fact that 83% of teachers in the UK, primary school teachers, are female.
Exactly.
And I do have a deep held belief that if that were the other way around, we would understandably and necessarily campaign at a governmental level to encourage more people into education, more women, more female teachers into education. I don't know why that isn't happening the other way around, because the impact that a male role model can have on you as a young troubled boy at that point in time is just, fundamental. Like, look, what would your life look like without Mr. Nicholson? Is obviously a question we can't answer.
Yeah.
But it's a fair question to ask.
But honestly, mate, all the work that I do, the men's work I do now, with the community that I run, is we talk about young men all the time. And I think by the time someone's hit 13, 14, like, I'm not going to be able to influence a man that age. I'm not cool enough.
Like, that's the bare bones. I'm not cool. To my kids, I'm not cool.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So.
But I think to a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, like, that's when you can get them. And when that's probably when they're starting to think a little bit about their own self and thinking, well, what do I want to bring to the world? What kind of boy do I want to be? Yeah. And I would love to see that gender gap change a little bit, but I don't think it will.
I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. I just know that if it was the other way around, and it was 83% male, and young girls were behind at every educational point, as we know that young white, particularly boys, are behind at every educational point, there'd be something. I'd like to think that something would be done about it.
I think so
too. And so, when you say troublesome, what kind of flavour of troublesome? Were we violent?
Yeah, I could be. And I'll fast forward a little bit. So the next stage of this, incredible future that I had mapped out in front of me was going to this school. And this was the moment I still probably reflect on this as the most traumatic moment of my life. Was I remember the summer holidays, my mum taking me on a family holiday. We didn't have much money. It was like a barge holiday in Stoke-on-Trent. And we went away for a couple of weeks.
Think about Alan Partridge.
Right, it was very Partridge-esque. And then she was due to take me home, and tried to call my dad's. No mobiles at that time, so I called on the landline and couldn't get in touch with him. I was like, that's strange. And drove down to where we lived in London and arrived and knocked on the door, and there was no answer. And my mum was like, what the fuck's going on? This boy's starting school in 2 days. The long and the short of it was he and his girlfriend had broken up while I'd been away, and rather than him thinking I need to raise this boy by myself, he'd just done a runner. It just disappeared. And I ended up having to go back and live with my mum, and her having to get me a school within 2 days.
This is in Brighton?
Back home in Brighton. No school spaces at schools near me, so I ended up going to this school miles away, didn't know anyone. And that was the penultimate time I saw my dad. I only saw him one time after that, and that was when I was 14 at my granddad's funeral.
So it was like you've been given the invitation to Hogwarts.
Exactly.
Right. Does that make you angry?
Yeah, that was, so to your point, like, I was an angry, messed up kid pre-11, but that was really the entry point into my, I don't know, like, rebellious, like, needing to be validated, just needing to feel stuff and living a very hedonistic life at a very young age, you know?
Okay. What does hedonistic look like at 11?
Hedonistic at 11 looked like not coming home on time, getting into trouble, getting into fights. Hedonistic at 14 looked like not going to school, drinking, taking drugs, and having sex with girls. Like, it was, very, very early into that whole world. And like I said, I was an academic kid. I didn't find school hard, but what that meant was I didn't have to try to get grades. And then when it got hard at GCSEs, I just pulled myself out of it entirely. I didn't go to half my GCSEs. I managed to get 5 GCSEs. I was predicted 13 A's and went to college, somehow managed to get into college, and then dropped out of college after 3 months. Didn't tell my mum. Would pretend to go to college every morning, wait for her to leave for work, go back home, smoke weed, and that was my cycle for 6 weeks. Then she found out and she kicked me out.
So where to?
So, well, I ended up living with one of my best mates for a few weeks.
So you're how old? 16, 17?
16, yeah. I would have just close to 17. And yeah.
That moment that your mum kicked you out,
yeah.
do you think that she was fair to do so?
Oh, I would have kicked me out way earlier.
Oh, really?
If I had kids now, I'd be far more of a disciplinarian than she was.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you must think about this stuff as a dad.
I do. I mean, I don't know if I'd have I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
And then that's once I don't know. And it's, again, I'm divorced and split from, the mum of 3 of my children. And the reality is you always have in the back of your mind that their mum's house is their space. That's where I have them just shy of half the time.
Yeah.
Or, had for my eldest, who's now 19 and 14-year-old.
Wow.
And my 8-year-old's with us, that much time. But the others, for them, their mums is, that's their safe space. That's where they, so you always have that feeling in the back of your mind, like they could fuck me off at any time. So that's a concern. It's like,
yeah, I get that.
You kind of don't have the power because your mum was your only option, and your dad's not, sadly. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I could, and that's
yeah,
because they'd be like, well,
I don't.
My dad sacked me off.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I want to be the best that I can possibly be for you in the moment at all times. And again, we can and will get into this. That I didn't have many good, if any, male role models. So for me, it was I've got to be the best I can possibly be, despite having not seen what even good or passably good looks like, or what even average looks like. So it's like, how do I don't know. It was an effort to attain perfection through boundaries, and I will be, I don't need to be a friend.
Yeah,
I was always quite clear. There's plenty of time when we're older for us to be friends. I need to be your dad. I need to be good, and maybe I did, maybe I didn't get it right lots of the time. Like who knows? It's I'm still work in progress, right? I had my first when I was 18.
Yeah, fucking hell, right.
You're not. Who are you when you're 18?
Kid.
In my head, I was grown. In my head, I'm like, well, I'm the person I'm always going to be, and maybe in many moral ways, I am quite moralistic. Quite. I like. Quite down the line in terms of some aspects, and I always knew I wanted my kids to have boundaries and all the things that kids scream out for. You at 14 with some boundaries and a moral that would have been fun.
Exactly.
That would have been life changing.
But and to that point, like that decision that my mum took, I would never begrudge her for it, because in that situation, it was her only option. Right. Like she had tried to set boundaries, but imagine, right? I'm like a big 16-year-old kid. I'm bigger than her. Like she tries grounding me, and I say, I don't care. I'm just going out. She's trying to take my pocket money away. I've got a job. Like there's nothing you can do to me which is going to make me stay in and not go out and cause trouble. Yeah. And at that point, what choice do you have?
It's really very difficult, I guess.
Yeah.
So your relationship with your mum.
Yeah.
Since then is obviously a good one. It's a really positive one. Right?
Yeah.
At what age did it get better?
I think when I went to uni, predominantly, I've always been a bit of a mummy's boy, and I actually got a bit of a hard time for that on the show. But it was interesting because you know what those shows are like, right? All the commentary, the social stuff is very simplistic, and it was like, right, Tom is a man who communicates, shows empathy, is able to listen. Therefore, he has feminine traits. He's learned from his mum.
What a bloody woman!
Right, exactly, pussy. And I'm like, right, like speaking crudely, this is the stuff which. Personally, that's the stuff which gets me dates. It's my ability to listen and empathize. That's what I always say to the younger guys in my group. It's like, it's not just about being strong and stoic and being a man. It's like, right, these are the skills, the soft skills you need to learn to succeed in every part of your life. Yeah. So, your relationship with your mum. At what point did that get better? So at 16, it's frayed, it's broken. Yeah. You're not in the same house anymore. Yeah. So you said uni. Uni seems a far cry from the kid that didn't get, the GCSEs he was expecting to get to the college that you dropped out of. How did you get to uni from college you dropped out of? So my mum eventually gave me an ultimatum where she was like, right, if you get a job, you can come back and look at home and live at home rather. And I spent a year, I got a job servicing TVs with an ex-squaddy called Sean in a white van. And it was the best year of my life. I used to get paid £200 cash in hand, give my mum £50 of that. And I was like, this is my life. 200 quid a week. At that age, we're old. Do you know what I mean? That was 2002.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I thought that's all I wanted to do in my life. Yeah. And then I remember my mum sat me down after a year of that and saying, are you sure this is all you want to do with your life? You could go back to college, and convinced me to go back to college. And I did 2 years at college. Wasn't with the same kids that I was with, that I'd fallen in with. Oh, fucking hell, Rich. Now you're asking. Economics, maths, media, film.
Right, okay.
I wanted to be a film director.
Okay.
That was probably a bit beyond me at that point.
I mean, that's interesting that now you're doing the podcast and all this.
Yeah,
things, there's
that's true.
Hey, listen, this is 20 years. That's all it's taken is 20 years just to realise that, production and film and content and we're in a world where it's so much like I can do this and,
it's a lot easier than it was back then.
It certainly is. And I guess you're that bit older then, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it's almost a bit older. Cringe if you're that boy then with some of these kids are younger than you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And a year at that age, a year or two makes a massive difference. Like you're a bigger boy. Do you know what I mean? You're like you're an older kid. Obviously he's a year above or he's 2 years above.
Yeah.
So
or he's thick because he's been put down a year.
Remedial. Just dunce hat.
Exactly.
So did that kind of like ease you in, I guess, and like you're that tiny bit more like, actually I want to be here.
Yeah, I tried a bit more in college. Right. I didn't get amazing grades. I just did the bare minimum, but it was going to uni which flicked a switch in my brain.
Where did you go?
Bristol.
No, okay,
yeah.
How was that?
I loved it.
Yeah,
and that was my turning point because suddenly I was around these kids that had maybe come from slightly more privileged backgrounds, more nuclear families, and they were like, "I want to be an accountant," or "I want to work in PR," or whatever it might be, and I was like, I don't fucking know what I want to do. Yeah. So I'm just learning by osmosis of those guys. Yeah. It was the first time in my life where they thought academic financial success was something that was
it's because that's what they've been
exciting.
Taught, mate.
Yeah.
That's what they've been taught. What did you do at uni?
In marketing.
Oh, okay. What made you choose marketing?
I just didn't know what else to do, mate. I was like, I want to do something business related because that feels generic enough, and thought marketing sounded like the coolest part of business. So,
and I mean, marketing's, I guess it is that. It's that thing that could potentially get you a job in most different places because every business needs marketing, right?
Mate, it was right. I think that we're very fortunate to have ended up in the industry that we ended up in.
I agree. I've said that a million times. I've got so much. I've both taken and hopefully given so much to the industry.
Yeah.
But it is a recognition, and immediately I felt like, oh shit, I remember the moment I was like, I get paid to do this. There was a stunt I saw, and I've talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah,
a zombie stunt. So it was Resident Evil, and it was a body parts hunt around London. And my friend Matt Muir was working at Monument PR at the time, and they Matt writes for Private Eye now and does like freelance PR. He's wicked, you know?
No, I don't think so.
Guy.
Really,
like just genius. Just like PR's very lucky to have him. And so I saw this stunt, this body part treasure hunt around London, and I went, that's PR.
Yeah.
You last said that you saw your dad at your granddad's funeral when you were 14.
Yeah.
Did you speak to him?
No, we exchanged a few glances and that was it, really. I mean...
Did he... So there was never like a reckoning? There was never your mum saying to him, come on, what's going on? Like, there was... Why would you not? And have you must have fathomed this out, I'm sure, a lot. Why would you not want that relationship with your son?
I have a pretty good sense of that. And again, it's a really, really good cautionary tale for anyone listening, is that men in particular, like you can get into a situation whereby you create a negative environment with an individual, even if it is your son, where you have this narrative that you've created in your own head whereby you've behaved badly, and then these emotions around shame come in, where I feel ashamed that I've behaved badly or I've not treated that person right. And I see it with guys in my friendship group a lot, where rather than then leaning into that shame and being like, I need to tackle this head first, and it might mean some conflict, it might mean some, looking at myself and my own behavior and realizing that's not appropriate, but I need to rectify this. He was not a man that was able to do that. Right. And so he just got into this pattern in my 20s and my 30s. We'd exchange the odd email. Right. Whenever it came to meeting up, the shame, embarrassment would catch up with him, and rather than dealing with it, he would just move away from the situation.
Just a very avoidant.
Yeah, well, I talk about avoidance.
We're going to get into avoidance because I understand that you identify that as essentially your, like you're quite an avoidant
I'm
person
avoidant
when it comes
as fuck,
to
Rich.
Yeah.
But and interestingly, like this. So again, it manifested itself. My dad passed away last summer.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, mate.
That's okay. But it was interesting seeing this whole thing sort of come to a pinnacle, if you like, when, I remember it was the January of last year where we got a message from his sister saying he was really unwell. He had a matter of months left. She needed to make us aware of that. It was all of the siblings. So me and my little brother, my two little sisters. And then a few months passed and she basically reached out again and she was like, he's expressed a desire to see you before he dies. And my original reaction to that was, fuck no, I'm not. Why should he get to control when he sees me? I've tried to see him countless times over the last 25 years, and every time he's not. Every time he's said no, it's just taken a little part of me out of me.
It's almost like too many pieces have been taken at that point.
Yeah. Why does he get to call the shots? Yeah. And I sat on it for a couple of days after sending quite an aggressive email to her, and I was like, I made a mistake there. Like, that's not how I grow. I grow by showing forgiveness and empathy. And it was one of the hardest things I'd done because this was my ego, my pride. And he's the root of every challenging thing that I have in my life. Like every single bad behavior I can attribute towards him.
Really?
And, and I changed my mind. And I was like, look, I'm sorry that I sent that email. Like, I actually would really like to see him if that brings him some peace. And me and my sister ended up putting a date in the diary. We rented a car. We were halfway up to go and see him in Ipswich, where he was. And we got a call from his sister saying he's just not feeling great today. Could you come back another time? And at that point, that was the moment of clarity that I needed. It was just a point of like, I've shown him some forgiveness. He still doesn't want to try and, repair some of this relationship, and that's okay. Like, you just have to let it go. And I got a classic avoidant, booked a flight to Bali a couple of days later, fucked off to Bali. The day I flew back, I got a message rather, when I got back to the UK saying he'd passed away, and that was it. So,
what was your immediate thought?
Relief, honestly.
Really?
And it pains me to say that, but it was so much of how I behave in romantic relationships, my ability to build relationships with my friend, my mum, the struggles that I've had in those relationships have all been down to my relationship with my father, and knowing that was no longer a thing. I couldn't rest on that laurel anymore. I couldn't rest on that as a justification for bad behavior. It felt kind of good. And I remember going to his funeral. Like, we went to his funeral and there were 5 people at his funeral. It was his sister and us 4 siblings. And I was like, that is not the life that I want to lead. And that's been the kick up the arse that I needed probably my whole life, to start doing stuff which feels more purposeful. It's weird. And it all aligned with the show. The show came out 2 months later. And since then, my life has been completely different, and different in a really, really positive way.
That was going to be a question, had he seen it? Did he have any awareness that you were on it? Did he?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. The only little nugget of information I've had from his sister was when we were at the wake after his funeral, we all had a few drinks, obviously, and she sort of had revealed that there was quite a lot of jealousy from him, that he had been keeping an eye on some of the stuff that I've been doing on the socials, and I've done pretty well in the industry and have a nice place, and he struggled to deal with the fact that I'd made a success of myself without him.
It's really hard to unpack, isn't it?
Fucking complicated, mate. It's really, needed
really
a lot of therapy, and
Do you feel like you understand him at all?
Yeah, I do. I feel like.
What did he do for a job?
He did all kinds of jobs. He was also academic. He got a scholarship to Dulwich College and was meant to be a real success. And then because of the environment he grew up in with his parents also being, his mum in particular wasn't affectionate, couldn't ever praise him. And so he ended up thinking very badly of himself and ended up doing coach driving, selling cars, running pubs, getting into a bit of trouble himself. Like,
a bit of everything. Just, never quite as stable. Like, you've been in the same industry for a long time now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 15 plus years, is it?
Yeah.
Like, how long do you reckon you've been working with PR now?
16, 17 years. Yeah.
So you stuck at something, it's almost, not to say the opposite, but,
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have avoidant traits which always come out in work. I'm always like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something completely different. And then I go back
That
to
was
it
a
and I love it
question.
again.
So I know you work for yourself, right? So, consultant. The gigs you had or the gig you had, were they really supportive of your time away?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because obviously that means client work's not getting done, certain things aren't happening for a period of time. And then, after proposing, you got to Greece. That's, there's the week where you're, incommunicado and then you're in Greece. And how long was Greece? 5 days?
Yeah, 5 days.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we're talking like a month or so, completely separate to the, separate to the real world.
And then you're living with your fiance for a month after that.
Shit.
So 2 months out. But mate, this was the thing. I'm a firm believer that, like, I don't know, I don't want to use the term everything happens for a reason, but things lined up perfectly for me. I had a set of circumstances whereby my parents, my mum and my stepdad, both got really sick at the same time, and it was stressful. And it was a reason I went into consultancy, was because I was like, I need more flexibility and more opportunity to take time off, because I had to go back and look after them for months. And that happened. They got better. I was then a contractor. Then Love is Blind happened. And I was like, awesome, I can say yes to this because I'm now a contractor.
Do you get paid at all for any time on Love is Blind?
Yeah, but it's like a few £100 a week. It's enough to pay a mortgage, basically.
Right, okay. So literally, over that 2 month period. And does that then get extended, I guess, when, with the living with your partner sort of thing? So it's a conversation. Is that another conversation, or is it just a signed contract? If this, then that.
Yeah,
right.
You get your like mortgage payment thing, which is like maybe £500 a week, and then you get £50 a day per DMs.
Per what?
Per DMs, like just expenses. So
right.
dates and eating and everything else you want.
Okay. So,
it's all right.
I mean, consider it. I'm just thinking how, considering the popularity of the show.
Yeah. Oh mate, you don't get to TV to get paid.
No, 100% not there. You don't. It's almost like, let's leave that there, because as you said, it's enables you to build a platform and continue to then take that on. Just finishing on the show, if you could redo one conversation, what would it be?
Oh, I mean, people aren't going to like this. Not that the show is in any way relevant anymore, but like at the reunion, I wish that I'd put forward my views more strongly. Because the thing I'm most proud of in the show is also the thing which I got the most heat for, which was like, I just was very, very clear on who I was and what my values were.
Yeah.
Some people didn't like it, but you have to do that. You cannot please everyone. And now looking back on it, I'm pretty proud that I did that.
Well, I guess so much was made, and so I do want to move on from the show. So much was made of your alleged judgment of her as a makeup artist. Is it not fair, and do we not all judge people based on everything from what you're wearing to how your hair is to what the job you do? And is it not fair to judge somebody based on their role or the profession? Because I think it says an awful lot about somebody, the thing that they choose to do for the majority of their time.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to trip you up with that, because I thought that you got kind of unfairly maligned a tiny bit.
Well, the question I was asked was, did you judge Maria for her job, which was a part-time sort of nail tech makeup artist?
Of course,
And I wanted to be in that show every time I was asked the question as honest as I could be. Yeah. And my response to that was, yeah, I did, because maybe that isn't something which aligns with my vision of financially or through like our professional careers where we both want to be going. But I just wanted to answer it truthfully. It didn't mean that I didn't like her. It didn't mean that I disrespected her career. I just made a judgment, and I was aware of that judgment, and I wanted to communicate that. So, because you're right, everyone makes judgments all the time. It's like how we survive as human beings.
In the US series right now, there's Sparkle Megan, right? I don't know if you're watching it.
Right. She's the one that makes a shit ton of money.
She's made a ton of cash.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious that she's basically making a choice between another bloke that seemingly makes a lot of cash, in the pods at least, and a guy that she wouldn't normally go for.
Right.
She's made a judgment right there and then in exactly the way that you did on that person's job or role or security or, all of these different things, motives, professional, I guess, what they're aiming for in life.
Yeah.
It just feels like maybe it was just quite a convenient narrative thread to pull out.
Of course, but it really worked well with the narrative that they'd set for us,
Yeah.
But I think even that is like, whenever you do a show like that, if you have any sort of interest in your own behavior and how your brain works, then you're going to interrogate that stuff. And for me, that came from a place of when I was young, I had scarcity. I didn't have much. And so it's a place of protecting myself almost, which isn't necessarily healthy, but at least I could understand where it came from.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to go back to a place like that where I don't have any money. Like, it was that simple. So
It's a pretty shit place to be, isn't it?
it's not great.
It's
not great.
Friends from the show.
Yeah.
You talked about Benaiah. And
Benny.
you said, and I quote, "I've never met a more morally astute, emotionally intelligent dude." Now, it makes me want to be friends with Benaiah.
He's a great guy.
You still see him? Still speak to him?
I'm hoping I'm seeing him on Sunday. I think he's coming to the men's walk. Yeah.
Nice.
There are two guys that I really bonded with on the show.
Sam?
Sam, legend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I should talk about this. Like, Benny and I had a falling out.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've only just repaired it. And the reason for our falling out was about Sam. And it was Sam. I was in Lisbon when the first 4 episodes came out, and Benny and I had spoken loads. We were speaking every day, And Sam, when the first 4 episodes came out, sent me a message because I'd done a media interview, and I was asked in this media interview what my opinion of Sam was, and I gave a balanced answer. I gave a politician's PR answer.
Very fair.
Yeah, I said Sam is someone that
he's got some stuff to work on. Right?
Exactly. He does not know himself.
Like all of us.
Yeah. He doesn't know himself, and he's presenting a version of himself that he thinks other people want to see. Right. And by doing that, you trip yourself up because you cannot live up to that. And he saw this response, and he sent me a message, and he was like, "I'm getting so much shit on social media, and I just wanted to say thank you for maybe just giving a bit more of a balanced view, a bit more of an intuitive view." And I sent this message to Ben. I was like, "Sam's just reached out to me. I don't know whether to respond to him or not. I think I'm going to, but I just wanted to let you know." Ben responded back and effectively said, "I don't think you should, but whatever you want to do, it's your call." And I responded back to Sam. And I sent Ben the message I sent to Sam. Ben was not particularly happy about this, and in retrospect, I can understand the reason why. And we kind of just fell out about it. And we've only recently, I was in LA a couple of months ago, and he was in LA as well, and we both ended up catching up and having a coffee and repaired it. But it was that classic, again, this moral thing of like there being this conflict and this atmosphere between us, and neither of us really wanting to repair it because it's hard for guys to do that. And I'm really proud that we did.
Who made that first step?
I did, but he was the one that was hurting about it, so I'm grateful that he chose to reciprocate.
I don't know, there was something about you two that I was just like what a wonderful bond that only you could have with somebody that's been through that experience too.
Exactly.
And yeah, it just struck me that, you saying such a lovely thing about, like emotionally astute, all of these things. And I mean, I guess even in the breakdown of your relationship and then building it back up and seeing him again, it speaks to that. And it speaks to that for both of you.
But I think
so. I think it speaks to like, an emotional intelligence for both of you and a kindness and a want for things to be right.
Honestly, mate, like it's rare that you come across people in your life where you just connect with them so quickly. And he was one of those people, and we're not the same person. We're very different, but we both.
I don't think many people are the same person.
No.
As Benaiah.
Right, exactly.
Based on the edit that I saw.
Obviously.
But that's all I have to say on him.
I think it's pretty accurate. And those people are people that you shouldn't let slip through your fingers.
That's a really wonderful way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And I think as men, we don't put the effort into friendships. Sometimes they are relationships.
Yeah.
And since my divorce. And I haven't actually, in like 40-something episodes, I've not even touched on my divorce once, but this feels like an appropriate place to do so. I've put so much more emphasis on male friendships because in my marriage and relationship, I don't think I did enough. And possibly it's not the easiest when personal circumstances won't necessarily, make you got 3 kids and it's, it's tough and all those things. Nobody's had 3 kids and ever said it was bloody easy, right? So, but now I am so intent on making sure that my friendships with my, with my closest friends are something that I maintain as if it's a relationship.
Yeah, you have to put the same level of rigor into it.
You really do.
Accountability, communication.
100%. And like, hey, did I just fucking say something that was stupid?
Yeah.
Like, and just, hold your hands up and like, I'm not afraid to say it. I love my friends.
Yeah.
And it's not like just like, I love them. It's like, I fucking love them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And that's a place that, I don't think I could have got to. Certainly not 10, 15 years ago. It's, and again, it's, I don't know if that's
The thing is, Rich, I think when you're in a dedicated romantic relationship, a loving, caring partnership, your friends will often be the ones that fall victim to that fall by the wayside. My biggest learning in my last long-term relationship is maintaining your relationships with your friends is beneficial to your romantic partner.
It is so beneficial.
You know?
Glad you said that. My partner Vic now, she's like, Rich, you're not seeing your friends.
Yeah.
She's like, get out. And she's like, I don't need you out. I want you to see your friends. And it's not again so then I can reciprocate and go, oh yeah, go do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I think a really healthy relationship is one way you both go. And she's quite brutal. She's like, Rich, you need to see your friends, mate. Well, it doesn't say mate. You know, Rich, you need to see your friends.
Do you think she understands the benefit to her from that?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, 100%. I think time without me. No, like, you know, but I really do think she sees the benefit in it, and we both see the benefit in it for each other. Your close friendships, are they from uni? Are they from school? Are they from like, you know, like work? Where are your main male friendships?
Hey, I mean, I don't mind speaking about this on his behalf anonymously, but my closest recent male friend is someone that we've also just, our relationship's deteriorated massively over the past few months, and all of the themes I was talking about earlier with my dad, I recognise in him as well. I think that's a big part of the reason why I felt drawn to him initially, because he reminded me a lot of my dad. And he's someone that we had a situation in February which should have been quite easy to resolve. And he will say it himself, he is petrified of conflict and is not... I originally sort of reached out and I was like, I feel like this is a problem. Can we please talk about it? And it took him a long time to come back to me. And then we'd set a date and we didn't end up because he bailed on it. And so a lot of that behaviour reminded me of my dad.
Right.
And he's not been able to...
And how do you respond when you get that feeling like, oh God, that's like my dad?
Well, this is my own, again, it's my own shit that I need to work through. I'm not a perfect human being because my automatic reaction is stay the hell away.
Right.
And I could really, really push, but I've tried a couple of times to reach out and my subconscious brain is going like, well, that's enough now. Like, it's my own pride. Why should I let that person hurt me by feeling rejected when he doesn't reciprocate, you know?
Right.
Which is a shame. I feel like it's a thing which happens for a lot of guys, is that I have my old school friends. I don't have a lot in common with them anymore. I'm in this environment where a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is new and challenging, and I embrace that. But they're like, "That's not the guy you are. Why are you talking about men's mental health? You're like good time Tommy from uni. This is weird."
Yeah,
you know, like, and
but they say that like on a cellular level, we change every 7 years completely, right?
Yeah.
You know, like regeneration and all those things. Again, I'm not about to win a prize for biology, right? But on a cellular level, we're very different. Why is it not likely then that we're going to be very different socially, you know, psychologically, all of these things we should be learning, we should be growing, we should be understanding better, ourselves better, other people better.
Yeah.
So, you know, for somebody to be like, oh, but you were this, I've actually never talked about this before, but I remember I was at Twickenham once with a bunch of my rugby mates, like from school.
Yeah.
At school, I sounds silly to say it, I liked being big and hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because at home, that wasn't the case at all. Nobody walks over me.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And one of my mates went, oh, look at you, Smith. You're like, you know, so I'm Rich Leigh, but Smith's my surname.
Right.
Lee's my middle name.
Oh.
He was like, oh, look at you. You know, you used to be big and hard. And I just wish, and in that moment, I like smiled and just, you know, sucked on a beer. And I wish I could have said, he's like, oh, look at you, used to be big and hard. And it's like, necessarily, mate. Like, you have no idea. You don't know why I was that. And of course I'm not that anymore because I don't need to be. I don't feel like I need to be. You know, I felt at the time like that was, you know, a response to violence in and around my life.
Yeah.
And not just violence, but like, you know, prison and all these things that, you know, that's happening around me. And it's like, you know, to protect yourself, you know, that you've got to be this person. And it's not that I'm not somebody that likes to be, you know, I don't mind conflict for a second.
Yeah.
I'll be in a moment of conflict, like physical or verbal, and I'll hopefully get to a resolution, hopefully not physical. You know, like that's not who I am. That's not what I want to be, but I've got no problem because no conflict will be as bad as the worst conflicts I've seen and been involved with that have, you know, resolved awfully. But yeah, it's just like, we should be allowed to be different people, you know?
But
like,
you touched on something there, Rich, which is so important. And I see it all the time with my friends where they will say something which harks back to old Rich or old Tom, and I don't call them out for it. And I think it's really important. It's a healthy part of friendship to hold your friends accountable when they say something which you don't align with anymore. I've seen it countless times. I've seen it with one of my best girl mates. He's like, we're talking about doing this fucking walk across the UK to raise awareness of male mental health and try and connect 4,500 guys. She was like, why are you doing that? That's not your thing. And I'm like, I wish I'd been like, it is my thing. You just don't know me. You don't know me well enough to say whether or not it's my thing. But I think that the most important thing about that is, right, those beliefs compound. And so the more that you hear that narrative set by your friends, they limit you. They become limiting beliefs. Well, and I'm like, am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I me? Am I the person I think I am? Or am I the person that they think I am?
Yeah, you shouldn't have to hide the aspects of you. So now I'm doing the podcast and it is about positivity and overcoming adversity and challenges and all these good things.
Yeah.
It's like, that is who the fuck I am, actually. And I'm passionate about it because if this, and I've said this before, if I had an American accent, this would be taken way, nobody would take the piss out of it, but maybe this does some good. Like, I've just changed my bio to, interviews that might change your life, or you might just enjoy them, right? And that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, this might change your life, or you might just enjoy it. And either's cool by me. But
do you think that the environment, society more generally, has become more accepting to the stories that you're telling?
Yeah, I think so. I think men are more open to listening.
Yeah.
I think men are more open to wanting to understand, I think, as it become more, I think facts and figures don't change minds, right? Stories do.
Yeah.
And that's effectively what this is.
Great anecdote.
Your story, somebody will resonate with it.
Yeah.
And they won't need to go on a Netflix show to try and then hopefully work part of themselves out. But they'll reflect on it and go, holy shit, I see a lot of myself in Tom.
Yeah. Well,
and I think that's what's changed is social media and things like this have made it way easier to tell stories that might then reach that person. If I, as a 13-year-old, all I've got is rugby, fuck it, I don't know who I am if I'm not a rugby player when I'm older.
Yeah.
Sport is the thing that's going to get me up and out. That's all I've got. If I listen to some of these conversations, and I listen to, and you pick the bits of it that relate best to you, right? But you're like, you don't need your shit worked out by 30.
No, I agree.
You don't need, but because everybody forces you to, you're choosing GCSEs, A levels, uni.
I think it's ridiculous,
right?
Yeah.
You're like, how do you even know who the hell you're going to be? And is it okay to jump around jobs? People feel bad for doing so. It's like, is it? I don't know. I think if I'd have listened to some of these conversations when I was younger, that might have changed the trajectory of my life a little bit.
I think about it all the time. It's one of the things that genuinely makes me feel incredibly emotional is thinking about if I could go back now and speak to my younger self with everything that I know and all that I've learned, like I would be a really good role model to that kid. And that's like, it's the one thing which always would get me going whenever I'd be doing therapy, would be thinking about myself in that time and thinking about supporting that kid.
Isn't it funny? Because that to me was the only time during any therapy I had where I really connected with what was being said, which was, look at your young self. Does that kid deserve the life that they're living? I went, no, he's a cute little fucker, isn't he? It's like, no, fuck. No, he doesn't. No, that boy doesn't deserve this.
Yeah.
And what would he say to him? To your point there, I think I'll be a good role model to him as well.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful place to get to. Not that, you're finished or anything, but that kid doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Some of the things happening in and around their lives, young Tom doesn't deserve that. It's just, you got to, we touched on it, and I don't mind being the person that says this. We don't look like diversity.
No, we don't.
And we don't sound like diversity.
We do not.
Certainly in 2025's understanding of what diversity looks like, social mobility, if you'd have gone to that uni, not to that uni, if you'd have gone to that school,
that private school,
the private school, Christ, what a leg up that would have been.
I know, socially.
But are you glad that you didn't?
I think about it a lot, and I think I would have struggled there because I know that my own self-worth, like my own confidence, was pretty low at that point anyway.
Do you not think being there might have, like being surrounded by other people and knowing that you're there through merit, might have supported your self-esteem and self-worth?
Oh my God. I don't know. I've never thought about it like that. The way that I think about it is very, very like, obvious, which is that I'm around a bunch of kids that are richer and smarter than me with a mum and a dad.
How do you know they're smarter?
I don't know they're smarter.
You don't know they're smarter.
No, exactly.
We could probably guess that. There'd have been other scholarship kids.
Yeah.
There'd have been definitely rich kids, and their parents would almost certainly, in most cases, have been together. Most cases, been together. or probably more than, at your local state comp, right?
Yeah.
Sadly, that's, typically the reality situation. So you made a load of suppositions there.
Well, exactly, mate. It's what we do, isn't it?
You're not hosting Wider Men. Wider Men, your podcast.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Wider Men and why you started it.
I spoke right at the top of this episode about wanting to use the platform for something good and useful. And, I when I went into the show, like I've spoken at length about being a complete fuckboy in my 20s and my 30s and starting to understand where that behavior comes from, which to me now is pretty obvious, but it wasn't back then. And it was about avoiding intimacy, not wanting someone to see the true me, like all the bad stuff, all the shameful behavior, all of the lack of self-worth, the lack of confidence. And so that would manifest itself by me just keeping people at arm's length, love bombing them, making them feel amazing. And then when I was done with them, or when I was at a point where I needed to show the true me, I would just get rid of them. Right. And I find this stuff, the dynamic, the behavior around romantic relationships, like so interesting. It just, because I've lived it myself.
Do you think that's why some friends struggle to now see who you are today?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That's who you were.
Yeah.
And that's possibly, like, if they're not going to examine it properly, that's possibly quite a fair assessment. It's like, whoa, you're the Tom that I know that was with that girl and then that girl and then, and
yeah, this is
right.
It.
And now you're like talking about fairness in relationships and
exactly,
equanimity and support and love and all these things. And like, whoa, that's not the Tom I know. Okay.
And this is
interesting.
To that point, Rich, like that, some of this is behavior that I understand and I know, and I can talk about that with authority, but some of it is about me learning as well. Like this is the other reason I wanted to do the podcast, was because when it comes to things like jealousy, I don't know if I've got a particularly healthy relationship with jealousy.
In what sense?
I go the other way. I don't get jealous, but that's a form of me protecting myself. Right. So I don't care. You can do whatever you want. If you're fucking noshing off a taxi driver in the back of a cab, I don't care. I do care. I just pretend I don't. What
have you been watching, Tom?
If you're noshing off a guy delivering a pizza to your front door, that's your thing. But yeah, and so this is the thing, and the pod was all about exploring these behaviors, because some of it I know and some of it I didn't, and I wanted to understand it. And I think that's one of the best ways you can go into a podcast is from a place of curiosity. Right?
100%. That's what this is to me.
Right.
Surrounding myself with, incredible people that have either achieved great things, or they have ways of thinking that maybe I don't understand or don't yet understand. And I'm endlessly curious about pretty much everything.
Yeah,
and I think you kind of need to be. And I think using this as and I wrote something yesterday, and just using this selfishly to understand myself better is I'd want to have these conversations kind of if nobody was listening. I'd love to because I want to understand your perspective and what the hell was it like being on Love Is Blind and all these things and why and and all these things afterwards because selfishly it helps me be like work myself out better after decades of kind of like I guess skirting around the edges of understanding myself. So with so much talk about toxic masculinity, what does secure masculinity look like?
Yeah, again, it's one that my interpretation of that has changed a lot since the show. I got asked a lot about that post Love Is Blind, and at the time my response was, masculinity means whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah,
I don't think that's true. I'm because one of the things that I'm learning is that you have to acknowledge that there are biological differences between men and women. You just have to. But the thing that I always say is that but what I always say to people is like, right, let's acknowledge these. There are core tenets to being a man.
Yeah.
Something like strength, for example. But your interpretation of strength can be different. It can be whatever you want it to be. In your early days, it was physical strength. It was aggression, violence. Yeah. My idea of strength now is someone that when the shit hits the fan, I keep a cool head. It's someone that if I have an argument with my partner, I'm willing to look at myself in the mirror and I'm strong enough. My ego can take that, Yeah. So, and this is what I mean. And when I think about being a provider, I kind of buy into the idea of being a provider. Sonia loves it when I provide for her. Doesn't mean paying for everything.
No.
I
think there's an evolutionary way back to, and again, with dangerous bloody waters ahead.
Yeah.
But, I think there's an evolutionary and necessary and understandable species.
Yeah.
From a foundational perspective. reason why that exists.
Exactly. I totally agree.
You know, I don't think it's learned.
I
don't think it's learned.
No, I agree. It's within you.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Like, one of my biggest learnings with this new relationship is it makes me feel fucking amazing when I can do something for her that makes her feel cared for or safe or protected. It makes me feel amazing.
Of course.
And so this is how my perspective on that question is evolving, and it's always evolving, you know? And she was like, I saw the show and you are completely opposite from the show. And I'm like, I'm not the opposite, but I am still changing, and that's okay.
So one of the questions is exactly one that we've already touched on, which is I mean, it's just about male role models, and Mr. Nicholson would have been the answer.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So, what's your favourite episode you've done of Wider Man?
Oh, mate. I think it was the one around fear and commitment with a guy called David Chambers. We spoke about him before.
We did. I listened to it. Yeah.
And it was interesting because your route into that conversation wasn't about the topic of the episode.
No.
It was about masculinity. Mm-hmm. And he is someone that understands men better than anyone else I've ever met. Oh. He's able to then take those insights and apply them to behavior. And commitment in particular. This was a fucking revelatory episode because he spoke to me about freedom and this idea of freedom. And I am literally the case study, the poster child for an avoidant man that fears commitment, right? And he was talking about freedom, right? How freedom is, think about someone like James Bond or Superman, right? He's someone that never has a steady girlfriend, that is always on his own, doesn't really have any friends, that drinks martinis in bars by himself, doesn't seem to have any real stability in his life, but he travels the world, and that feels aspirational. And if I was to say to you 10 years ago, what kind of life would you want? It would be someone like him. It isn't someone it's not someone like you, Rich, that has kids and a steady girlfriend and a business. And this is my main problem with all this chat around role models and masculinity more generally, is that everyday men are not being portrayed as role models, you know? And I think there's a big media narrative thing that comes into that. Like, why aren't they, you know?
I guess because a Dan Bilzerian,
yeah,
right, looks fun.
Well, exactly. It does look fun.
Is it fun? Have you heard him speak about it since?
Hasn't he come out and said that it made him incredibly unhappy?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think it takes really Freud or the greatest thinking, greatest thinkers of our of our generations to understand that, if you do throw yourself just absolutely into that kind of hedonistic lifestyle, you can quite easily lose yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not even find who you were in the first place. And
that's it. Right. To that point around women, when it comes to hedonism, I was using women for pleasure. I was avoiding commitment because I didn't want to commit emotionally. And when I had this episode, I was like, there's so much that makes sense. And I've worked through a lot of that stuff in therapy.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, that notion of freedom.
Yeah.
I am almost the anti that.
Yeah.
I had a kid at 18.
Exactly.
Right. My friends were off at uni.
Yeah.
They're all living their lives. I dropped out of A-levels. Didn't finish school. Didn't go to uni. Had a daughter, and just immediately I was like, and we chose to. It was our choice. We said, let's have a daughter. Let's have a baby. And for me, it was, I wanted to prove to myself and almost like to other people that, by the way, are not watching. They don't care about you half as much as 1% as much as you think they are. I'm like, I'll show you what a good man looks like.
Yeah.
I'll show you what a good dad looks like. Who am I proving anything to, exactly, right? But that was, so then I remember watching, you'll laugh, High School Musical. Have you ever watched it?
Of course.
Love.
Yeah.
Right? I could sing every fucking show, everyone. High School Musical 2 is about him going off to uni.
Right.
I was 19 at the time, and I remember this feeling quite well about Troy going off to uni, separation and all this. And I felt trapped.
Yeah,
immediately.
I can imagine,
because that feeling of freedom just it's not accessible to me.
Yeah,
it's not that I can hop off to Bali. It's that I can't go to the next city over. Because my responsibilities lie here, and that's the bed I've made for myself at 18. And then of course the conveyor belt of life. You have another child, you get married, you do these things, right? And then all of a sudden I found myself 30. And now I'm here, I'm 30, and shit, I'm really unhappy, and oh my God, but I can't leave because that's imperfect. And if I do, then these children, from a broken home and, all the things I just didn't want,
Wow.
all the things. And it took a lot of kind of, self-reflection to go, that freedom that's just never been there for me.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'll never have it. I don't know. Like, what did it feel like to have that freedom? Was it as good as you thought it was going to be?
But it's not freedom. I mean, well, it is in a very, very simplistic sense.
Top line, you go over to Bali. Oh, there's a pretty girl at the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a good-looking guy. I've got some chat. Like, like to some men,
it felt amazing.
That does sound and feel amazing, right?
And I'd have these like girlfriends in Bali. They'd be like 6-week-long girlfriends, and you'd have a villa with them, and you'd be like working remotely, and just be like, "This is the fucking life."
Yeah.
But it didn't mean anything. There was no depth to it.
That's it. So I think that's the thing that people need to get to is that lack of meaning. Not lack of meaning. See, I'm sure it meant something, but like that feeling of I don't quite have the depth of relationship with you or with this that I'd like.
Right. And it goes back to my dad. I don't know if this is a healthy way to view my life, but I'm going to say it anyway. I do not want to be on my deathbed looking back on my life thinking I didn't make a difference. I didn't have an impact. I didn't connect with people. And when I saw my dad passing and looking back on his life, he was a philanderer. He went around the country, he went around Europe, shagging women, doing all that kind of stuff. Was he happy? Did that leave a mark on society more broadly? No, it didn't. And the stuff that I'm doing now, like, it does feel like it's having an impact.
Yeah.
And it's all of that goodwill that I'm building for myself and looking at myself in the mirror thinking, maybe you're making a bit of a difference, is permeating into all of my relationships. And I've never been happier.
That's amazing, man. What's the difference you want to make? What's the legacy that you do want to build?
In very simple terms, it'd be helping kids like I was understand that they have a future, that they're able to connect with people, that maybe they're socially mobile, maybe there are opportunities out there for them. So that'd be my dream.
To coin a phrase for you, and you can use this, you like the Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice.
That who comes to this with emotion and thought and feeling, and not if you don't have a Bugatti, then you're not this. Like the anti-Andrew Tate.
The irony about Andrew Tate is I'm not going to say his objectives, but his outcomes are probably similar to what I would like to have. Because he's about affecting kids and getting kids in a way to be more ambitious, just not in a positive way.
I mean, I think there are aspects of, and this is where the grey comes in, that a lot of people in 2025 don't want to have that conversation of, like things being binary, not being binary. I think some of the things he says make sense, and that's why people lean into it.
If he's about entrepreneurship, about making money, albeit to acquire material items, therefore acquire women, which it's better than saying sit on your ass all day.
Feeling good about yourself, health, fitness, get out there, move, all of these things. They're not awful things.
I know.
And, I worry that today you can say one thing and it undoes every other good thing you've ever done or said.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm not saying that, for him, like, he's got such a legacy of great things that he said that, one bad thing it's not, obviously. But, there is good to be found in everybody. I think, we've got to be a tiny bit more forgiving and understanding of people and the reasons that they are who they are to an extent, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think the whole notion of post woke, I think we are hopefully post cancel, like fine if that's what you think of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something one day on this. It's stupid. I know I will. And I'll miss it in the edit. And, and somebody will be like, Rich thinks this. Maybe I've already said it today.
Rich and Tom support Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the headline. I mean, the headline for you. Headline. It's always that Gervais thing of like, I don't want to be on a plane that goes down with anybody more famous than me. So, you're getting pulled, you're getting dragged down for this one. Shoulder to shoulder.
Oh,
talk to me about shoulder to shoulder.
I love it.
So what is it? Why is it?
Yeah, Shoulder to Shoulder is a men's community that I founded in January. And there's a couple of things that I want to sort of speak about with regards to Shoulder. One of the things, and I hope I don't offend you with this, Rich, because you've told me the context around your brother, is men's communities, particularly communities that focus on mental health. Like, one of the things that I've noticed in that space is that there is a huge gap, because on one hand you have communities like, I don't know, have you ever heard of Andy's Man club and his man's club?
No, I know the Shed.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of the communities that exist within that space are
Right.
very focused on men are sad, lonely, depressed. This is their last chance saloon, you know, before they commit suicide, before they harm themselves. And it's very, very mental health.
Yeah.
That's on one side. The other side of this sort of male community thing is like these sort of Bali, chambers, spiritual, yoga-y type aesthetic you see. And I think there's a huge gap in the middle for this middle 90%. And I think this is just for everyday guys that aren't suffering, you know, but just feel like this yearning to connect with other guys, feel like they want to be seen. And the whole idea with setting up the community was because firstly, I wanted a show which really questioned my own views of masculinity and made me realize that actually you can have whatever fucking view you want. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And secondly, creating an environment of support and connection, which I didn't have as a kid, as a teenager, as a 20-year-old, because I didn't trust men. And it was weird because I started talking about this sort of stuff on my Instagram. And there's one clip that went viral talking about my feminine traits and how I embrace them, and that's cool. And another guy called Dan, he's a mental health campaigner, saw this video.
Dan Shrigley. Right?
Dan Shrigley, legend. Sent me a DM. We didn't go for a beer. We had a coffee. You know, we did some non-traditional shit. We met up and we just like, let's start this thing. And we started in January. 8 people showed up to our first meetup. And it's just steadily growing. And
it is Fight Club, yeah.
That's why I can't talk about it.
Yeah, okay,
because,
they have to stand outside for days. You know, you maggot.
but this is, a lot of people have that view of it. They presume that it's going to be like that, right. You know, or it's like this sort of toxic red pilly. We're going in there. We're talking about how women see us as low value because we don't have enough, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Like. Right. And it's amazing peeling back the curtain to this stuff. And when we make social content about it, and we've obviously had some media interest in it, and it's just so good being able to talk about it because it feels different. It feels fresh. Like,
so you and those 8 people, what did you do? Like, where were you?
We went on Hampstead Heath, not to dog, just to...
Cheers for the
just
balaclavas.
Yeah, exactly.
Bonnie Blue again. We're back to her. All roads point back to Bonnie Blue.
Right, yeah. Crashed the car into snappy snaps on the way back. And we just went for a walk and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We just wanted to sort of connect with some guys. And from that, as any good idea should, it's just developed organically. And now we facilitate a space where the guys that show up on these walks, we hold a circle whereby we intro the group, we talk about our values, and every guy has a platform to talk about the things that he's struggling with or the things that he's finding challenging. What we'll often find is that there are commonalities between these guys. And then it's almost self-regulates, self-moderates, where we just match the guys up based on whether it's a breakout, whether they've just been fired at work, whatever it might be.
Okay.
It's amazing. So organic.
What have you seen in the men that show up consistently, and how many have you had of these?
Yeah, so we've been doing them every fortnight since January.
Okay, wow. So we're talking like, how many is that now then? So my maths is
20 odd.
A couple of dozen?
Yeah.
So, what do you see in the guys that show up consistently?
It's not as bad as you think it is out there for men, is my main point of view. The media paints men as either being like wokey lefty, vegan, sarong wearing yogis, or like Nigel Farage, like flamethrowers on boats at the White Cliffs of Dover. 90% of the guys out there are moderate. They're just interested in other people. They're curious. They want to help other people. They are accepting of different views and values and cultures. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of within that group is it is incredibly diverse. And, you know, whether that's through the sexuality of the guys, whether that's through the religion that they follow, their faith, you know, it's incredible because the commonalities that you see within those groups are all the same. We're all going through the same stuff. And I mean, I mentioned this to you before we started shooting, but, you know, we're PR people. We think about hook, what's going to hook people in. And we try different things on social media. We tried a thing around, I went on a date with a guy because we knew that was going to be attention grabbing. That video it got 150K because people are like, oh, gay. And it's like and that kind of hook works. But the hook, which we put out a post on Reddit yesterday, which was, I'm 40. All my mates have left the city. They've had kids. I feel lonely. I want to meet other guys.
You posted this?
I posted it. Yeah. And it's done 800K on Reddit. And we've had 300 new members into the group.
Where did you post it?
On the London Reddit thread.
Right, yep.
And it's gone batshit. And we have 80 guys turning up on Sunday for a walk, you know? It's just incredible. And this stuff just makes me feel so happy. You know, it's amazing.
How are you going to manage that from a facilitating perspective?
Yeah.
Like, because all of a sudden, you're building this small army of lots of, of guys. So so you turn up, where are you meeting? Hampstead Heath again?
Hyde Park.
Hyde Park.
Yeah.
Right. So all these 80 men are going to turn up. I mean, you're going to need a megaphone?
Yeah.
Like, what's the situation here? Like,
it's just learning as we go. And for the meet up on Sunday, it's going to be, I'll still do my intro and intro the group and talk about our values, which are all about inclusivity, respect, ambition, but not necessarily financially, just ambition to have the life that you want. And then we'll split up into subgroups, I think, and we'll do the moderated. Everyone gets a chance to speak. But we have some guys that have been coming for a long time. So the pressure's on those guys now because they need to moderate those groups.
I mean, that's the natural order of these things, I guess, is that they become deputies almost. To like, their small subgroup. And then that's only going to hopefully continue. I mean, what's your hope for this?
I mean, we wrote a plan for it at the start of the year, and the only plan that we had was 1,000 guys in the community by the end of the year. We're at about 650 now, so I reckon we'll hit it.
What's your community's WhatsApp group? Or
WhatsApp, then we do a bi-weekly walk and a coffee. We'll have a special event every month, which is, we did like sauna and cold plunge. We've done yoga. We're going to do a self-defense class soon. My ambition with it, I would love it to be my full-time job and scale it and because I think from working in this world, like, these are all men. A lot of them are single. They live in London. They've got quite a lot of disposable income. Like, from a brand point of view, eventually when you scale it becomes attractive. And so I would love it to pay my salary. Do it full time, and just my life to be about connecting people and making people better human beings.
And wider men. So you finished Series 1.
Yeah.
And we talked earlier on about Series 2 and coming back. And is that looking likely?
Yeah, it's just had a production company come in, so they're going to bankroll season 2. They're amazing. They're called I Am Podcast. Check them out because they've done me a massive favor. But we're gonna broaden it out. It's going to be more focused on relationships with men and with women. And I just want to carry on learning. And every person has relationships, so every person has something that they can teach me, and that's what I want to delve into.
How do you commercialize the shoulder to shoulder? You said you'd like that to be your full-time job. How do you make money out of that?
I think eventually it'll be about having, like you said, a small army of people who we have direct interaction, direct engagement with. So if you're a brand like Gillette, you can either put a load of money into a social media influencer, which men in particular, men in their 30s and the 40s aren't going to watch, or you can give it to me and I can get your product into hands of people directly.
Interesting. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, that's like, so 650 people, you said?
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is. Like, I think 650 blokes right now in one place.
Yeah, it's huge. And this is the thing. You know what it's like. You get lost on social media. If I did a video which got 650 views, I'd be absolutely devastated.
That's very true.
Interesting. But 650 people that have all shown intent and gone from a post to a website, read our values, clicked on the WhatsApp group, gone into the WhatsApp group, introduced themselves in the chat, and then that's real engagement.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we spoke about it off air again. The notion that it's a weird way to live your life where you're looking at social media metrics as almost like the be all and end all and success of you. 650 people. You're absolutely right. If I post something, 650 people, I think, oh no, oh god,
exactly.
But it's because I guess because again we don't know if that's 650 3-second views or not always, right? But you are making an impact and you're having an impact, and as a PR man.
Yeah. Dirty word.
Yeah.
Dirty acronym.
What did being the story teach you? Because we're taught to be, we're behind the scenes, right? For clients, we are never the story. What did being the story teach you about narrative control in unscripted TV?
Oh God. I could have controlled the narrative a lot better, and I was aware of that. I could have been insincere, or I could have held stuff back, and I didn't, because my belief was that by being honest, your true self is going to come to the fore. But there are moments where I said things which, in retrospect, if I wanted to control the narrative, I could have not said them, and I think that was quite naive of me. But if I was to go back, I wouldn't do it differently. If
a future cast member came to you and said, how can you prep me for this? How can you get me ready for this show? What would your prep pack look like?
Great question. I would start by saying, well, what do you want to get out of it? Do you want to find love? Do you want a career in social media? Do you want to find meaning and purpose and work backwards from that? Because if it's about finding love, you cannot be thinking about your narrative because you're going to be inauthentic to the person you're trying to woo, you know? So
Woo.
woo, is that the right expression?
I guess it is. It's like 1932.
Yeah, the person you're taking to the ball.
Yeah.
So,
Again, I'm watching a lot of that Ed Gein at the minute. And oh man, it's so funny.
His language.
Charlie Hunnam, he's like, it's like fornicating with Jezebels and all sorts. And like the language is wonderful. Okay, so you'd say it's authenticity, but also know what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want a fucking social media career, then like talk about your favorite brands and dress in your favorite brands and go down that route, you know. But,
do you think there were any people in the season you were in that were in there for the wrong reasons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the obvious one, isn't there? So
right.
Spent 10 grand on a new wardrobe before he went in. Yeah, had like a
the funny thing is, I wear the same shit all the time. This t-shirt's probably like 5 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not a flashy guy whatsoever. So I'd go on there and probably, for somebody who's run a successful company. In fact, once one of my team, I went in with the same rucksack. That's a new one over there. And one of my team, senior, she went, "Rich, you run a successful business." She went, "Why has your bag got holes in it?" And she's like, "You got lots of employees." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I probably should get a new bag, shouldn't I?" And she's like, "Yes, you should."
It's true, but then I also hate waste. You know, I've got a bag that works, and I'm like, why would I need a new bag?
It was getting to that point where almost a laptop might fall out. So she was like, "Sort yourself out," which was a really fair point to pick me up on.
Good on it.
What is one unpopular opinion you have about modern dating that you think is going to age well?
Oh, great one. Oh. Yeah, more choice does not mean more success. So, like, I don't want to slag off dating apps because dating apps, used in the right way, can be a very, very powerful way to meet people.
Yeah, I know lots of people that are happy having that through dating apps, yeah.
But and I'm saying this from a place of privilege, right? Like when you have more choice, it means that you evaluate people based off unrealistic criteria because you're comparing them to the next person you're going to be dating with. And 2 generations ago, when our parents and our grandparents were dating, you didn't have that choice. You had to pick someone, double down, take into account their flaws, stuff that you didn't like about them, and just fucking do it anywhere. And that, more often than not, is where real love comes from, is by acknowledging someone's flaws.
I completely agree.
Good.
It's a beautiful thing to say. I think. Did you end up on that celebrity dating app?
Raya. No, because I'm tired. I've got an Android.
I was going to say Raya, and then I was like, Rich, obviously I'm not on it. I should never and shouldn't be on it.
What, Rich, you're on all of them? What are you expert?
Yeah, you're like, I've seen you. But I was pretty sure that was the name of it. But yeah, you didn't end up getting on it.
No, I didn't. And that's because I don't have an Apple. I don't have an iPhone.
Why don't you have an iPhone?
It's only iOS.
Is this a fundamental?
It's an ick,
issue?
mate. Apparently, so
what?
Sonia told me it was an ick not having an iPhone.
We haven't talked about icks, and I hope to get through the whole conversation without using the word ick. And now you've done it. You've just signed with House Talent.
Yes. Thanks for that.
Congratulations, man. I mean, when I
that.
saw it, I messaged you straight away. I think just because again, I'm somebody that I want to see friends, mates, even people that I just know by proxy. I want to see people do well.
Yeah.
Right. So it's awesome to see. What does that mean for you?
I'm really proud of what I've done since the show, and I've done a lot of stuff which you can attest to this, which it doesn't pay me any money. I'm putting a shitload of time into it because I think it's important, and so it's really nice to have that. So a little bit of validation, which I still need as a 40-year-old man. And I'm hoping that what it means is that they can help me, understand how I can eventually get investment into the things that I'm passionate about. Because I am such a firm believer that if you build something that you're passionate about, you don't need to worry about how you're going to finance it. That stuff takes care of itself eventually.
That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Man. That's really where I'm at. It's like, I'll work it out.
Exactly.
Because I believe in what I'm trying to do so much. And likewise for you.
Yeah.
Yours is, I guess, it's a definite audience. It's a, when we talk about, smart goals and all that, yours is a very specific audience, which is, like wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. We it came up in the Reddit conversation yesterday. Someone said, "What's your view on trans men coming along?" And my response was, our values are around inclusivity and respect. And if you identify as a man, you're welcome to come.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that, that's
Because
my view personally, but it's a community.
as a community, because it's a very different lived experience.
Yeah, this is it.
And that's, I guess, what you're trying to get to.
But that's when this person posted that thing on Reddit. It did obviously try and put yourself in that person's shoes. And this person, he said, I would never come to something like this. And the fact that I've read your values and I've seen what you look like, and that makes me think it would be a safe and protective space for me. And I sort of felt like, well, that makes me feel quite proud, and all of this stuff you don't consider when you first start building a community. We have to consider things like PLI now, because we've got 75 guys there. If one of them falls over, breaks his ankle. Yeah. So it's just a learning curve. And I'm a firm believer, again, that this stuff comes out in the wash, and eventually we'll have a position on things like if trans men want to come to our
it's something you've got to consider, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not going to consider it all now. I'm going to do it as I need to.
Christ, it'd bog you down if you do. It's that thing of, you'd never start a business and an organisation, a campaign or anything if you don't need all the answers to get moving, right?
Exactly. So,
what does success look like for you in the next 12 months?
Oh, mate. My goalposts have changed massively. I'm in a privileged position whereby I work 4 days a week, and that pays me enough to live a really good life, a comfortable life. Yes. My goal has never been to make money. That's a lie. My goal was to make money a lot in my 20s, because that's what I thought success was. Yeah. But now, I have a fucking mortgage which cost me $2,000 a month, so that's what I need to make.
That's $2,000 a month.
Yeah. But I feel like I get so much joy out of the simple things in life. That's what I say to Sonia. Sonia's someone who is very used to being wined and dined. And the thing which she said to me the other day, which made me feel so proud, is like, I just like doing nothing with you. And that's a really good feeling. Yeah. So it's just about, success for me is about using my time to do things which feel like they benefit society, and by proxy myself. I'm a selfish person. It's just that my selfishness has gone from doing hedonistic things which benefit me and me only, to understand the benefit of helping other people and how that feeds my own ego ultimately.
Russell Brand.
That's me. Russell Brand Mark II.
Just less God. God, the whole thing of community building and all that. It's just, as you said that, he was, what was it, Sun's top shagger for 4 years in a row or something.
Yeah.
When was the last time you changed your mind on a big belief?
I've always been fiercely protective of my mum. And I've always had this line that I churn out, which would be that, when you have a mum like my mum, you don't need two parents. She was like a mum and a dad for me. And I don't think I believe that now. The only time that I'd ever be prepared to have children is if I was 100% confident that I would have a very, very clear and defined role in their life as a father and a man. Because I think everyone, kids, adults, need to have both genders.
What's one message you'd have for Maria?
Oh, wow.
Today.
So Maria is fiercely protective of her family, and out of all of her values, of which there were some amazing qualities she had, that was the one that I admired the most, and probably felt a little bit of envy or jealousy about, because I didn't have that. I didn't have that opportunity. But my message to her would be like, it's okay to be different from somebody else, and it's okay to have different values. It's not ever going to be a personal attack if someone's different to you, on you or your family.
You speak to that really well in one of the episodes I listened to of, Why Do Men? And it was that understanding that, it's just not, that person isn't rejecting you necessarily.
No.
It's, you're going to feel that rejection because possibly, life has made you feel rejected in certain ways.
Yeah.
But, that person's not doing it out of necessarily even spite or indifference or anything. It's that just that's, sometimes the right person is, it's not the right person at the wrong, it's the wrong person at the wrong time or whatever.
Exactly. And, it's one of the hardest things to deal with, isn't it? And I still would suffer from it now, but you get a lot better at working through that stuff. I mean, we're talking about professionally, given my background, I always found the idea of doing something badly at work incredibly hard to deal with, because I felt that I would always seek the validation or approval of people that were older than me, because I didn't have that as a kid. And, it took me a while to get over that and to understand that if I do something wrong, it's kind of okay. Right? And it's the same in relationships, same in every relationship. Yeah.
So you spoke about kids.
Yeah.
You'd like to have kids.
I would love to have kids. But I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago.
Really?
I would have been like, hell no. What is the benefit of having kids? I mean, what is the benefit of having kids?
I've got 4 of them. Ask me again in 10 years' time, 20 years'
Fertile
time.
man.
Yeah. Need to get a TV, eh? But no, yeah, my youngest is 18 months. They are wonderful. They are, it's again, probably too traditional a viewpoint, but I think it's the reason we're supposed to, it's probably why I'm here.
Yeah.
Is to be the best dad I can be to these children, and whether they see that or don't see that right now. Anybody that wants to get involved with Shoulder to Shoulder, how do they get involved?
The promo bit. So the best entry point is probably our Instagram, which is Shoulder to Shoulder Community. And on there, you'll find a link to the website. And on the website, you'll find a link to the WhatsApp page. It's a really simple consumer journey. Do you know what I mean? It's like one click.
It's frictionless. It's really frictionless.
But we're findable, we're visible. Or just go into my Instagram because it's linked to my bio.
Yeah.
Probably is.
Nice. Shoulder to Shoulder.
Yeah.
Check it out. And is that just for people in London?
Mate, we are nationwide. Like when we started it, we had people from Toronto and Canada and all kinds of different places. But the benefit in real life connection is undeniable. So ideally, you can get to London for one of the meetups.
One last question.
Yes, mate.
Let's complete the sentence. Anything is possible if.
Yeah, anything is possible if you believe the circumstances No, let's try that one again. Anything is possible if you believe that the environment in which you were raised do not have a bearing on the person that you want to be. Yeah?
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Mate, that's exactly what I'm about.
Yeah.
You didn't choose to be that person. You didn't choose to have that environment.
Yeah.
But we can choose where we go.
I like it.
Love it, mate.
Nice one.
Tom, this has been awesome. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's been probably the best pod I've done. It's been amazing.
Say that to all the girls.
Apart from my own pod. Jump on it. It's awesome.
Why do men?
Why do men? Why do men go on podcasts and talk about podcasts?
Cheers, man.
Thank you, mate.
And we are back. Again, Shoulder to Shoulder. It's a phenomenal thing that Tom is doing. I hope you enjoyed that. I absolutely adored it. As you could tell, we kind of knew each other, but I think it's like that scene in Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? I think Tom's a really easy guy to get on with, and I love that. I mentioned meeting Jeremy yesterday. Similar situation. I guess similar ages, lots in common. I love it. I absolutely love meeting all these awesome people and bringing it to you. So, if you don't already subscribe, do you know what I'll do? Don't bother. Don't follow me. Don't leave a review. Is this working? Don't go and tell all of your friends about Project Possible. Just don't bother. I don't care. Don't go and subscribe at projectpossible.substack.com. It would be a waste of your time. Right, there you go. Done. I am back next week with. Do you know what I'm not going to say? I need to work out the orders, but I will be when I share this first thing Monday morning. I will know. And if you're subscribed on Substack, then you will see who I've got for the remainder of the year, taking us through to the new year. As I say, this is episode 43. I've recorded 50. So there's some good ones in the bank and more to record as well. So thank you as ever. Don't come back next week. Don't come back. I think I've absolutely flogged that to death, haven't I? Right. Goodbye. Forever. See you later.